use of idioms. So that's going to be our spoken English section. The use of idioms, okay? So without further ado, let's begin and jump straight in to English for travel. So, English for travel. Now, here we have a young man, and I think we can all guess where he is from, as he says, welcome to Paris, okay? So, where do we think this young man is from? What do we think? Let's get straight in. Let's see if our minds are working today. This young man, we can see, he looks very French, okay? Not to be stereotypical, but he looks very French. So let's look at some travel English. He says, welcome to Paris. What other questions could you experience when you are traveling? How did you get here? Okay, how did you get here? What does that mean? How did you travel here? By what means did you get here? So let's look at some different answers that we could answer to this. I came by boat, or I came on the boat. Now remember, lots of these answers can be chopped and changed, and there are different verbs we can use. So let's look here. I came on the boat, okay? The boat or the ship or the ferry. Sometimes they would call it a ferry, okay? So I came on the boat. Of course you could say I got the boat as well. I got the ferry. I got here by train. Maybe you came in your car. I drove from Italy. Okay, past tense. I drove from Italy. I flew from home. If you got an aeroplane, I flew from home, or I flew from Bangkok. I flew from Dublin, wherever you flew from. I got the bus from Madrid. Okay, now you could say I got the bus, I got the train, I got the boat, I got the ferry. So there are lots of these you can mix and match. So I got the bus from Madrid. So there's a few different modes of transport that you can use to talk about in your travel English. What about the next question? How long did it take? Well, how can we answer this? It took 4.5 hours. So here is the past tense of take. How long did it take? It took 4.5 hours. Okay. Then we've got only 50 minutes. So if it was short, how long did it take? Oh, only 50 minutes. So that's a shortened version. You could say it only took 50 minutes, or simply only 50 minutes. Okay, Kerry is asking, shouldn't you say I caught the bus from Madrid, or I caught the train? Kerry, you can of course use caught, but this is a very conversational verb. When you say I got the bus, what it really means is I got on the bus. Okay, so it's just a short conversational way we say it. I got the bus, I got the ferry. Okay, so how long did it take? It took 4.5 hours, only 50 minutes. Now, what if it was very long? Too long, almost 12 hours. So if you really don't like how long it took, how long did it take? Oh, it was too long. Almost 12 hours, 24 hours. I think I travelled for 36 hours once, so that is too long. I have been travelling for 2 days. Okay, so how long did it take? I've been travelling for 2 days. So there's some different ways you can answer that question. Let's look at our next one. Are you on vacation? So vacation or holiday, they're of course the same. So are you here on vacation? Are you here on holiday? Now, how will we answer that? Yes, just for the weekend. Okay, so of course you can say yes, just for the weekend, just for the week. I'm here for a month, okay? I'm visiting my family. Maybe you're not on vacation, you're visiting your family. No, unfortunately, I'm here for work. So, of course, many of us travel for work. It's not always a vacation. Okay? Many of us may have to travel all over the world. So you wouldn't count that as a vacation. So no, unfortunately, I am here for work. Or yes, but I'm only passing through. Okay, so perhaps you're only in Paris for one day on your way down to, I don't know, Rome. Maybe you're just driving through Paris to get to Rome. So yes, but I'm only passing through. Okay, that's a very nice phrase, passing through. It means you are not staying there. Exactly, Sarah. You're in transit. Okay, you're in transit. Okay. Next up, who are you here with? I'm with my family. I'm traveling alone. I'm with my work colleagues. Okay, so if you are unfortunate enough to be there for work, you'd say, I'm with my work colleagues. Or I'm with some friends. So, you all know how to answer this question. Who are you here with? I'm alone. I'm with my family. I'm with my wife. I'm with my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my kids. Whoever you're with. My parents. Very simple. Okay? That is simple answers to travel questions. Common questions you would get when you are traveling. Now let's look at our next slide here. Have you seen the Arc de Triomphe? Okay. Does anyone know what the Arc de Triomphe is? Has anyone ever visited Paris? So have you seen the Arc de Triomphe? Our French man is asking. And it is the large landmark. Lots of people are saying yes. Antonio says the Gate of Glory. Okay. It's a large stone arc in the middle of a roundabout, okay? It is what we call a landmark. Something you go to see when you are in Paris. So, our Frenchman says, have you seen the Arc de Triomphe? And our traveller answers, no, I haven't yet. Or, if you have, I have. It was amazing. I have visited Paris before and saw it then. I've been here 4 days and still haven't seen it. Okay, so there's a few different answers that you could use for that question. Have you seen the Eiffel Tower? I have. It was fantastic. I've visited Paris many times and I've seen it 100 times, okay? So you can use different variations of these answers for that question. Now our Frenchman says, how long have you been away from home? Okay, how long have you been away from home? I haven't been home for 6 weeks now. So she has been traveling for 6 weeks. I haven't been home for 6 weeks now. I visited India, Egypt, and now France. So, this lady here has done a lot of travelling. I've visited India, Egypt, and now France. I've seen the Taj Mahal, the pyramids, and the Eiffel Tower. So here we have the Taj Mahal, the pyramids, and the Eiffel Tower. So this lady has done a lot of travelling. Ibrahim, the Arc de Triomphe is a landmark in Paris. It's something to see in Paris. It's a historical monument, I guess you would call it. Just like the Eiffel Tower or the Taj Mahal or the pyramids. Okay? Lots of people now saying I should visit Egypt. I know I should visit Egypt. It's on my list of places to visit. Okay? So, let's look at the way we're saying these sentences. I haven't been home for 6 weeks now. I've visited India, Egypt, and now France. I've seen the Taj Mahal, the pyramids, and the Eiffel Tower. What tense are we using in these sentences? Who can tell me? Who's the first person who can tell me which tense we are using in those sentences? Because that is what we are going to look at next. And Antonio's is the first person, although he doesn't seem too sure, but it is the present perfect. So well done, and there's lots of people, Ivana and Samia, everyone's saying it now, Bassam, Damien. It is the present perfect. And what shows us that it was the present perfect? How can we tell it was the present perfect? What is evident here that tells us it's the present perfect, guys? Exactly, Samia. The auxiliary verb have. So I haven't been. I have visited. I have seen. Okay? The auxiliary verb have shows us that it's a perfect tense. And because it's have, we know it's the present perfect. So, let's look at the present perfect, because we have not covered the present perfect so far in our English for Beginners lessons. So, the present perfect is used to talk about a duration from the past until now, or to talk about an unspecified time in the past. So unspecified means not specific, okay? Not specific. So a time in the past, but not one specific time. So the present perfect is actually used to talk about the past. So that's something we have to remember. But it's something in the past that relates to now. So let's look at the form. And many of you have already mentioned the form. We have our subject, I, you, he, she, we, they, the dog, the house, Ireland, whatever your subject of the sentence is. Then we use have or has for the third person. Remember, he, she, or it always takes has and not have. And then we have our verb in the past participle, or verb tree. Now, what is the past participle? Remember, it's this form of the verb. Gotten, driven, worked. So, for regular verbs, we just add an ed, just like the past tense. But for irregular verbs, you just have to learn them. Lots of the time, they end in en, gotten, driven, taken, okay? But not always, so you just have to learn them. Now, let's look at some more examples of the present perfect. So let's take these example sentences. Jack has taken 3 trains so far. Okay, Jack is of course the third person, so we use has and not have. Jack has taken. That is the past participle of take. Jack has taken 3 trains so far. Now, this little piece at the end, this little expression, so far, what does that mean? What does that tell us? So far. Exactly. It means until now. Until now. So it's in the past and it's related to the present. He has taken 3 trains so far. He may take more, but so far, up until now, he has taken 3. I've met so many nice people. Okay, again, that means a duration from the past until now. I have met so many nice people. Now look at this one. Man has walked on the moon. That is an achievement, okay? An achievement. And that's something we also use the present perfect for. Man has walked on the moon. So it's a general achievement. Okay? Man has walked on the moon. It happened in the past at a particular time, but we don't care when. We're not saying in 1969. We just saying it happened. Okay? Man has walked on the moon. And then we've got a little example for myself. I have taught in Saudi Arabia. An unspecified time in the past. I have taught in Saudi Arabia. This is, of course, the past participle of the verb teach. Met here is the past participle of meet, to meet someone. Okay? Sarah is asking, what is the meaning of so far so good? So far so good, okay, it's not related to this, but Sarah, so far so good just means as of yet nothing has gone wrong. Okay, so if I ask you how is lesson 6, you could say so far so good. So up until now it has been good, which is of course true. Up until now it's been excellent. So that's the meaning of so far so good. Okay, exactly. Dalal has said you are doing good up till now. You are still doing good. Okay, now Asma. Okay, Asma has said I have visited New York for 3 years. Now that's something we would not say. So I have visited New York for 3 years. We could not say that because you would only use the present perfect in that sentence if you said I have visited New York for 3 years in a row. Okay, 3 years in a row, or the last 3 years. But that sentence we would not use. Okay. Ahmed is asking why we didn't say man had walked on the moon. Okay, because this is the present perfect. If we used had, that would be the past perfect. And the past perfect has a completely different meaning. Okay? So, we say man has walked on the moon because we're talking about a non-specific time in the past. Okay? We get to the past perfect later on in the course, and then you will see the difference. Now let's look at some negative and question forms. Jack hasn't taken any trains. So of course for the negatives we just add in not. Jack hasn't taken any trains. I haven't met any mean people. So I've met so many nice people. I haven't met any mean people. So we had this word before in lesson 4. Mean is the opposite of nice. If someone is not nice, they are mean. Then let's look at the questions. And we know that questions begin with the auxiliary verb. Has your father walked on the moon? Okay, walk is a regular verb, so we just add ed. Okay, has your father walked on the moon? Have you visited Mecca? Okay, have you visited Mecca? And how would we answer this? Yes, I have, or no, I haven't. They would be your two answers. Or of course, you can just shorten them, yes or no. But if you wanted to say, yes, I have, no, I haven't. And for me, no, I haven't visited Mecca. I always get that question. Okay. So, that is how we structure the present perfect. And it is great for talking about things in the past that we don't want to mention a time. Like visiting countries. Have you visited France? Have you been to Italy? Okay? We don't care when. I don't want to know, yes, you were in Italy in 1994 and 2001 and 2003. We don't care about that. We just want to know, have you visited Italy? Yes, I have visited Italy. Okay, so that's something that we use the present perfect for. Now let's look at a question to see if you're all keeping up. Now, which of these sentences is incorrect? Incorrect. My brother has lived in Australia since 2012. I visited him twice. Our dog hasn't seen him since then. The house has been very quiet without him. Which of these is incorrect, guys? What do you think? And Asma's asking me, have I visited Egypt? No, I have not, Asma. No, I have not. Okay, and everyone seems to be getting this one correct. It is, of course, number 3. Our dog hasn't seen him since then. Now, why is that incorrect? Who can tell me? Why is that incorrect? Who's the first one? Okay, lots of people are saying the incorrect part is the verb see, which of course, exactly, Muhammad and Myrna, it should be seen. Our dog hasn't seen him since then, okay? So, see is the present tense of this verb, or the infinitive, and the past participle is seen, okay? Seen. Now, there was a question back there that I would just like to go back to. Just give me a second to scroll back up. So Tazabi is asking, why don't we say man walked on the moon? Now, why do you think, Tazabi? So that is the past simple. Man walked on the moon. Now, what do we use the past simple for? We use the past simple for a completed past action. So if you said that sentence to me, man walked on the moon, what would I say to you? I would probably say, when? When did man walk on the moon, Tazabi? Because with the past simple, we usually include a time, a specific time. Exactly, Iman. That's what we use the past simple for. I played basketball yesterday. Okay? I played basketball yesterday. But have you played basketball before? Yes, I've played basketball. Okay? So yes, Tazabi, it happened in the past, but if we're talking about it, we are talking about it as an achievement. Man has walked on the moon. If you want to use the past simple, you would have to say man walked on the moon in 1969 and 1970 and 1972 and lots of other times. So for an achievement, something that has happened, something that has been done, but we don't care when, we just simply use the present perfect. Man has walked on the moon. Okay? And remember, guys, man in that sentence just means the human race, humankind. It doesn't mean one single man. It means the human race, humans. Humans have walked on the moon. Okay? Now, Nadine is asking, why is number 1 correct and we have a specified time in the past? Good question, Nadine. My brother has lived in Australia since 2012. What does that mean? He is still living in Australia. Therefore, it's a past action which is connected to the present. That is the first use of the present perfect. Okay? My brother has lived in Australia since 2012. That is why that one is correct. Exactly, Marwa, because he is still there. Okay, next up, guys, I want to bring up this week's challenge, okay? So for this week's challenge, I wanted you all to tell me phrases you heard when traveling which surprised you or you couldn't understand. So certain phrases that you heard and you didn't quite understand what they meant. Or if you didn't have any of these, to research unique phrases which are used in different English speaking countries. Now we had lots of people as usual commenting on our Facebook using the hashtag Shaw phrases. So I wanted to just pick out a few of my favourite ones. So we had Riza, who I presume has been to the UK many times, and we'll actually see a lot of these these expressions like Bob's your uncle and the bee's knees and gobsmacked in a second. We had Dima, who had lots of different phrases and idioms, so they were all fantastic. We had Judy with a great one, and her description was very nice. So I'm all ears. And she says, nothing would drive someone crazy than talking and talking but have no one to hear them. Dear friends, I'm all ears. Okay, so that's a very nice phrase. And we had Amy or Ame, I'm afraid I don't know how to pronounce your name, Ame and Dassie, who had plenty of Australian phrases or slang words, which we will also see a little bit later on. So we had some great ones like ace and kudos and chuffed and Aussie, and we're actually going to see a lot of these in a few minutes. And the reason I challenged you guys to do this was to lead us in to the next section, phrases from around the world. Now, here we have the Earth, our beautiful planet here. And of course, we are now speaking the English language. Well, I am, and I hope all of you are too. So let's look at some facts about the English language. There are 375 million English speakers worldwide. There are 1.5 billion English learners worldwide. So people learning English worldwide. 1.5 billion. That's a huge amount. And English is an official language in over 50 countries. So that's some facts about English. We all know why English is so important in the modern world. But now let's hone in a bit. Let's close in a bit. English is the mother tongue in over 30 countries. So the primary language. It's the official language in over 50, and it's the primary language, the mother tongue, in over 30 countries. And we have examples like Ireland, the UK, Australia, USA, Canada, and so many others, the Bahamas, and lots, too many to name. I don't know all of them. I don't know exactly, Antonios, the native language. Yeah, so mother tongue, native language, primary language, etc. Okay? And many, many countries, including Ireland. So there we are right there. There's myself and there's Shaw Academy here on our little island, okay? So what we are going to look at is different phrases used in all of these different countries. Because the English spoken in Australia is going to be very different from the English spoken in Jamaica. So we're going to look at some of these different phrases that we use from one country to the other. Now, the very first country we are going to travel to, what do we think? What do we think is going to be the very first country that we look at for this section? Have a guess. It shouldn't be too much of a guess. Come on, who's the first one who can get it? Oh, Zainab said the UK. No, Zainab, not the UK. Exactly, Warwick. Exactly. The first country we are going to look at is Ireland. Of course it is. Why would we start with any other country? Shaw Academy is Irish. I am Irish. As Kerry said, look at the red hair. Of course. Who else could it be? So we're going to look at some phrases that we use here in Ireland. And some of these you may have heard before, and some of them will sound very, very strange, okay? But I've given you a definition for all of them. So let's start off with some phrases. And the most popular phrase we use here in Ireland is this. What's the crack? Okay? This word here, crack, it is just pronounced like C-R-A-C-K. Crack. So what's the crack? And what this means, it means how are you or what's happening. It can also just mean hi. Okay? So, what's the crack? When I meet my friends, I say what's the crack? It just means hi, how are you? And that is one of the most common phrases you will hear if you've ever visited Ireland. And I'd love to hear if any of you have visited Ireland, okay? So what's the crack? Then we've got another one. Sure look. Sure look. Sure look. And this just means anyway, okay? Andricia is saying you guys are weird. No, we're not, Andricia. Would you stop? We're better than you at rugby. That's all that matters. So, sure look just means anyway. So, if you want to move on to the next point, anyway, you say sure look. So let's look at how we'd use it in a sentence. Sure look, I'll see you later. Just means anyway, I'll see you later. Okay? Next up, we've got donkey's years. Donkey's years. And that just means a long time. So a sentence, I haven't been there in donkey's years. So have you ever been to Spain? Yes, but I haven't been there in donkey's years. It just means a long time. I haven't visited the dentist in donkey's years. So it simply just means a long time. And that's a phrase we use here in Ireland. Now let's look at some nouns, okay? And the very first one, crack. We recognize this word, crack, because we recognize it from the phrase, what's the crack? And crack just means fun. It's actually an old Irish word, and it means fun. So you can see where this phrase comes from. It really means, what's the fun? Okay, what's happening? How are you? What's the fun? What's the crack? So crack means fun. So for example, I could say, that party yesterday, that party last night was good crack. That party last night was good crack. Okay, Megarius with a very good question. Are these phrases formal or not? These phrases would be informal. Informal, of course. Any phrases like this are usually informal. And Andricia is informing me that in Afrikaans they use donkey's ears and they say donkey yara or donkey jara. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. So you can see these phrases, many of these phrases are international. Tazabi is saying that you love this part of the lesson. Okay, next up we have the jacks. And the jacks very simply means the toilet or the bathroom. Okay? The jacks, the bathroom. Very simple, very colloquial. Something we use in conversation. Okay? The jacks. Next up we've got a press. And this is a very Irish word. Anytime I visit England and I say the press, they don't know what I'm talking about. Okay? So a press is a cupboard. A press is a cupboard. Could you get the tea from the press? Could you get me some biscuits from the press? Okay? Very simple. A press is a cupboard. Then we've got the guards. And the guards in Ireland are the police. The guards are the police. I've been robbed, called the guards. Okay? Very simple one. The guards are the police. Then we've got a nice one. This is usually my students' favourite. An Egypt. That's a very Irish word. An Egypt. And that just means an idiot. So, if someone is being an idiot, you'd say, you're an Egypt. Egypt. I want everyone to pronounce that after me. Egypt. It's a very good word. And it's less offensive. Kerry says, my husband loves to use that word. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Egypt is kind of a playful word. It's a playful word. Then we've got one of my favourite words, lad. And a lad just means a man or a boy. Very simply. A man or a boy is a lad. If I was meeting my friends, I would say I'm meeting the lads. Okay? I'm meeting the lads. Then we've got some adjectives. So what adjectives have we got that we use here in Ireland? Grand. The most used word in Ireland is grand. And that just means okay, fine, or it can mean great. Okay? So it's very simple. And anyone who knows an Irish person will know that we say grand for everything. If you think anything is going to be fine, you say it's grand. Don't worry, it's grand. It's grand. We are famous for saying it. It's grand. And I can already see some people writing in. Then we've got knackered. And knackered just means tired. So let's look at it in a sentence. I've been working all day. I'm knackered. I'm absolutely knackered. And I'm coming to the end of the day now. I'm knackered. Then we've got deadly. And this is a word used in Dublin. So it's not used all over Ireland. It's more of a Dublin word. And it means brilliant. Okay? Brilliant. So I would say that movie I saw last night was deadly. Okay? Deadly. Now, of course, the proper meaning of deadly means it can kill you. So, for example, that snake bite is deadly. But we don't use it for that. We mean it say brilliant. Okay? That movie was deadly. And finally, for our Irish phrases, we have an adverb here. And it's queer. Queer. Okay? And that just means very. And that's used more in the rural area of Ireland. So not in Dublin. Out in the country, they say queer, and it means very. So, for example, the weather is queer bad out there. The weather's queer bad out there. The weather's very bad out there. Okay? Queer bad. You could say, Mark is a queer good teacher. Okay? So, you can see, I'd love to hear some of you using these words if you can, because I think it's absolutely fantastic. So, if you're ever visiting Ireland, you now understand what all of these words mean. And Asma has just said, Cairo is queer crowded. Exactly, that's a fantastic use of it. Hasna has said queer good lesson. Very good, guys, very good. That is perfect. Now, we have finished up with Ireland. So, where do we think we should go next? Well, we'll skip across the Irish Sea and we'll head over to the UK next. Okay, we'll head over to the UK. Exactly, Dalal. And here we have, Mariam has said, Mark is a deadly teacher. Thank you very much, Mariam. Thank you very much. Okay, Iman is saying you're in Newcastle. Okay, so let's see if you recognize any of these, Iman. Here we have a very stereotypical English person, so I apologize if I offend anyone. Now, let's start off with some phrases used in the UK. And I'll do my best to do an English accent, but I'm not very good at accents, guys, okay? But I'll do my best. And the very first one is alright, and that just means hello or how are you? And they'd of course say it like alright. So if you meet your friend on the street, you'd say alright Mark, and that just means hello or how are you? Okay, very simple. Just like what's the crack, it just means hello or how are you? Next up, as Reza pointed out, we've got Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle, and that just means there you go, or you've got it, okay? There you go, you got it. Bob's your uncle. Now let's look at how we would use this in a sentence. So if I was telling you how to join the webinar, I'd say click on the go to webinar button and Bob's your uncle, okay? Bob's your uncle. It just means there you go, that's it. That's all you need. Bob's your uncle. I'll try my English accent again. Bob's your uncle. Okay, that was very bad. I'm sorry, that was a very bad accent. Next up, we've got cheerio, which just means bye or goodbye. Cheerio, very simply. I'm sure you've all heard that one before, and it means goodbye. Now let's look at some nouns. Shaima's saying my accent isn't bad. Thank you very much. I'll take that. I'll take that. Next up, we've got nouns. And first one, we've got grub, which just means food. And I know they use that all over the world. We use that in Ireland as well. We use it in Ireland. Grub just means food. I'm hungry. Is there any grub? Okay, grub means food. Then we've got a kip. And I love this word. A kip just means a short sleep or a nap. Okay, so you know, or a siesta if you're in Spain, whatever you want to call it. A kip is just a sleep, a short sleep or a nap. So if you're tired, you go for a kip, okay? You go for a kip. Now, there's an example here. I'm going to have a kip after lunch, okay? I'm going to have a kip after lunch. Next up, we've got mate, and that is originally English, but we use it in Ireland, they use it in Australia, they use it in South Africa. It's of course used everywhere. And a mate is just a friend. So you'll often hear them say, alright mate, and it just means, hello friend, how are you friend? Alright mate. Or, I went to the cinema yesterday with my mates. Okay, a mate is a friend. Next up, we've got a funny one, porkies. And porkies mean lies, okay? So, if you tell someone a lie, you tell them a porky. Okay, Sarah is asking, are these words used in Ireland too? Some of them, Sarah, yes, some of them. Because Ireland and England are so close, they're so close beside each other, that a lot of the words go from one place to the other. So we use a lot of English words also. So porkies are lies. For example, don't tell me porkies. You might say to your children, don't tell me any porkies. Did you eat all the cookies? Okay, porkies are lies. Now let's look at some English adjectives. And we've got dodgy. And dodgy means not to be trusted. So if someone is dodgy, you don't trust them. You can have a dodgy area of a city. So, for example, don't go to that area of Dublin because it is dodgy. It's not to be trusted, okay? Don't buy anything off that man. He's dodgy. Okay, so it's a very good word. And there's almost no other word that means the same thing. So dodgy is a very helpful word, okay? What about this guy? Is he dodgy? He doesn't look very dodgy. He looks quite proper. Okay, so he wouldn't be dodgy. Then we've got gobsmacked. And gobsmacked means amazed. I was absolutely gobsmacked at how good Mark's lesson was. Okay, gobsmacked just means amazed. I am gobsmacked at Mark's English accent. It's so good. Okay. Next up we've got smashing, which means brilliant. Okay, just like in Ireland we use deadly, in England they use smashing. That movie was smashing. It was a smashing movie. Mark is a smashing teacher. It just means brilliant. Okay, Zainab, yes, we can use dodgy for a person. Exactly. Of course we can use dodgy for a person. Yes, shady. Shady is a good word. A good word that almost means the same thing. Very good, Fangju. Very good. Mohammed said Mark is a smashing teacher. Thank you very much. And here we are. That dinner was absolutely smashing. Next up we've got minted, which means rich. Okay? If someone has a lot of money, they are minted. Okay? I am not minted. I do not have much money. But if someone is rich, they have a lot of money, they are minted. And finally, for our English ones, we've got tickety-boo. And that's a very strange one. And tickety-boo just means fantastic, okay? So, everything is tickety-boo in my life. Everything's tickety-boo in my life. That's what they'd say, and it just means fantastic. So, for example, how was Mark's lesson tonight? Oh, it was tickety-boo. Tickety-boo, okay? So, it's a strange one, but it's a good one. Tickety-boo just means fantastic. Now, let's head across the Atlantic Ocean and we'll end up in the United States of America, the USA. So of course the USA have their own words and phrases, some very strange ones and some very popular ones because of American movies and American TV shows. So a lot of these will be very familiar to you. I'm sure you will recognize a lot of these. So we'll start with our phrases, and very simply, what's up? What's up just means how are you? And that came from America. Lots of people use it now all over the world, but that came from America. Hey man, what's up? What's up, man? That was my American accent. Almost as bad as my English accent. Okay? Or you can even shorten that from what's up to sup. So you'll hear a lot of American people just saying sup. Sup, man. Sup. And that's just a short version of what's up. Sup. So it means the exact same thing. Now let's look at some verbs. To bail. So to bail means to leave quickly. To bail. Now let's look at it in a sentence. I finished my work and bailed. It means to leave quickly, okay? To get out of there. When I finish work, I bail, okay? To leave quickly. Next up, we've got to screw up. And I'm sure you've all heard that before. It just means to make a mistake. To screw up. I really screwed up in that exam. Mark really screwed up with his American accent. Okay? So, I really screwed up in that exam. Please don't screw up your final assignment at the end of this course. Okay? Now let's look at some nouns. Sarah said she thinks it's a smashing accent. Thank you very much, Sarah. Now let's look at some American nouns. The most common one, dude. I'm sure we've all heard that. We use it all over the world, dude. And a dude can mean a friend or it can mean a guy, a man. Okay, a dude. So often you'll hear, what's up, dude? Sup, dude? Just means, how are you, friend? Or how are you, man? Okay, what's up, dude? Next up, we've got a garbage can or a trash can. And I know in England and Ireland, we simply call it a bin. So a garbage can or a trash can, they just mean a bin. A bin, where you put your rubbish or your trash or your garbage or your waste. Okay? Now let's look at some adjectives. Easy as pie. And I'm sure you've all heard that before. If something is easy as pie, it is very easy. So, look, I really screwed up in that exam. What? I thought it was easy as pie. I thought it was easy as pie. It just means very easy. Next up we've got sweet. And sweet means great. Okay? Mark is a sweet teacher. That lesson was sweet. Okay? It was so interesting. It was sweet. Okay. So, hold on, we've got a question. Mohammed is asking, what is the meaning of a bin? Okay, a trash can or a garbage can. Where you put your rubbish, Mohammed. Where you put your waste. I don't know any other words to describe it. When you're finished with something and you want to throw something out, you put it in the bin or the trash can or the garbage can. I actually can't think of another word to describe it. Maybe some of the other students can put in a word. Okay, so sweet means great. And then we've got awesome. Awesome. And awesome means brilliant. Okay? Awesome. This class is awesome. And that is brilliant. So just like smashing in England and deadly in Ireland, they say awesome in America. And then we've got beat, which just means tired. Okay? Beat. So I'm beat means I'm tired. That was a long day. I'm beat. Okay? I'm beat. And finally, we have an interjection. Shut the front door. Okay? Now, shut the front door is an interjection, and we know interjections show emotion. They express emotion. So shut the front door just means really? Okay, so let's look at an example. Joe says, I got the job. And Sam says, shut the front door. So that just means really or no way. Okay, so shut the front door just means really or no way. Very simple. It's a nice one to use. Shut the front door. Now let's head over from the USA and we'll cross the Pacific Ocean and head to our final destination of Australia, okay? And I couldn't find a picture of an Australian person, so I decided to just use a kangaroo. So I apologize to any of my Australian students. So let's look at some Australian expressions. And we'll start off with phrases. The most popular Australian phrase, g'day mate, and that just means hello, okay? G'day is short for good day. So g'day mate just means hello. Again, terrible Australian accent. I'm very, very sorry, and I don't want to offend anyone. G'day mate means hello. Next up we've got you little ripper. And that just means that's great news. That is great news. You little ripper. And let's look at it being used in a sentence. So Bruce says, I bought you a present. And Megan says, you little ripper, Bruce. You're a little ripper. It just means that's great news. Okay? That's fantastic. And I'm not going to say it again because it's very difficult to say in my terrible Australian accent. Next up, we'll move on to some verbs. And we've got to yabber means to talk. So for example, who's that yabbering in class? Okay, who is that talking in class? Who's that yabbering in class? To yabber is to talk. Now let's move on to some nouns. And of course, a Sheila is a girl. So, of course, Sheila is a lady's name, but in Australia, they would use the word a Sheila for a girl. So, a Sheila means a girl. Next up, we've got a barbie, and a barbie is a barbecue. So, it's just short for barbecue. And I'm sure you've all heard this sentence, put another shrimp on the barbie. Okay, so a barbie is a barbecue. It's short for a barbecue. Next up, we've got a roux, which is short for kangaroo. So obviously there are lots of kangaroos in Australia, so they just call them roo. They'll call it a roo, not a kangaroo. Next up, we've got an Aussie, and an Aussie is a person from Australia. So an Australian person is an Aussie. And then we've got the bush or the outback. Now, in Australia, there is a lot of desert, okay? And they call it the bush or the outback. Any area that is not a town or city. So uncultivated land, okay? Anything that's not a town or a city or a village, okay? That's the bush or the outback, they call it. Then we've got togs, which are your swimsuit, okay? So you'd call your swimsuit your togs. We're going to go swimming, put on your togs, your swimsuit. And then we've got some adjectives. And we've got fair dinkum. Now that's a very strange one, a very, very strange one. Fair dinkum. And it just means true or real, okay? For real. So for example, it's true, mate. Fair dinkum. That was a very bad Australian accent. I can't stop apologising. It's true, mate. Fair dinkum. That just means it's true or it's real. Fair dinkum. And then we've got bonza. And that just means good. So bonza means good. So that's a nice word. I like that word. I'm going to start trying to use that word more in my life. Bonza. And it means good. And finally we're going to finish up with an interjection. Crikey. Crikey. And that's what they use to express surprise. So if someone surprises you or shocks you, crikey. Okay? And here we have crikey. There's a shark in the water. Okay? So it expresses surprise. And that is my wrap up of Australian phrases. And again, I want to apologise to anyone who was offended. And Basma wants me to repeat this. Aussie, Aussie. So you pronounce it like O-Z-Z-Y. Aussie, Aussie. And Warwick said, I sounded like Steve Irwin there. That's what I wanted to sound like. That's what I was going for, Warwick. Crikey, crikey, there's a shark in the water. Now, let's look at a question. Which of these words is not used to mean brilliant? So who can remember? Which of these words is not used to mean brilliant? Awesome, smashing, fantastic, grub, or deadly? Which of these does not mean brilliant? Okay? Which one? And of course, yes, it's number 4. Grub. Grub means food. Okay? The rest of these all mean brilliant. Now guys, we're going to finish up today with a look at some idioms. Now, many of you asked at the start of the lesson, what are idioms? Well, look at this. So we have, let's call him Scott and him Will. So Scott says, "Oh wow, look at that roller coaster. Let's go." Okay? Look at that roller coaster. Let's go. And of course, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a roller coaster. So this is a roller coaster. So, oh wow, look at that roller coaster. Let's go. And Will says, "No way. It's making me sick just thinking about it." So it's making me sick just thinking about it. And Scott says, "Oh, come on. Don't be a chicken." Now, what does that phrase mean? Don't be a chicken. So Scott says, "Oh, come on. Don't be a chicken." What does that mean? Who can tell me? Who's the first one? Ahmed is the first one. Fantastic. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Exactly. So, it doesn't mean don't be an animal, don't be a chicken. It means Don't be afraid, okay? Don't be afraid. And that is what we would call an idiom, guys. So that's what we would call an idiom. An idiom is a commonly used expression whose meaning does not relate exactly to the meaning of each word. So, if you put "don't be a chicken" into Google Translate, it's just going to translate to chicken in your own language. But that's not what it means, okay? So the meaning of the expression does not relate to the meaning of each word. So, let's look at another one. To be broke. Now, to be broke, does that mean like this pencil? To be broke, to be broken? Or Mariam has already said it, and Alfred as well. Or does it mean to have no money? And many people have said it already. It doesn't mean this. It means to have no money, to be broke. So if you are broke, you have no money. And right now, I am broke, okay? I'm broke right now, just as so you all know. So let's look at it in a sentence. I wish I could go to the cinema, but I'm broke. I'm going to be broke after my vacation. So that's how you can use these idioms in a sentence. Now let's look at another one. And one of you mentioned this earlier in the lesson. A piece of cake. So, a piece of cake. Simple, right? Very simple. But I don't think that's what we mean. No, of course not, of course not. And all of you are writing in the answer. Does it mean a slice of cake? No, it does. Well, it can. It can mean a piece of cake, of course. But when we use it as an idiom, it means something is very easy. And it's the exact same as easy as pie, which we saw in our American expressions. So piece of cake, easy as pie, almost the same. Now look here, how we use it in a sentence. That exam really was a piece of cake. I'm sure it would have been easy as pie if I studied. Okay? I'm sure it would have been easy as pie if I studied. Now let's look at our next one. Raining cats and dogs. So I suppose this can only mean one thing. That it's raining cats and dogs. Simple, right? Of course this is what it means. That there are cats and dogs falling from the sky. Or does it mean, exactly Samar, that it's raining heavily? Well, of course this is not correct because that makes no sense. Cats and dogs never fall from the sky. It means that it is raining heavily, very heavily. So you can't go out there, it's raining cats and dogs. So I'm sure you've all heard that one before. Next up, we have head over heels. Now, you may not have heard this one before. Head over heels. What do we think that means? Head over heels. And I can see Kerry writing in the answer and a few other people also. So which of these do we think it is? Does it mean to have your head over your heels? Or could it be something to do with this? Well, it's not this, as we can guess. It is, of course, to be in love, to be madly in love, as Zenara has just said. Very good, madly in love. So look at how we would use this. I met my husband 20 years ago and I'm still head over heels for him. You should only get married if you're head over heels, okay? So madly in love, head over heels. It's a very nice expression to use. So you should only get married if you're head over heels. And our last one that we're going to look at, a bun in the oven. What do we think that means? A bun in the oven. So we've got two options. We've got buns in the oven, or we've got a pregnant lady. So what do we think? And I can see lots of the South Africans are answering, so of course you know this, because I'm sure it's used in South Africa also. So it does not mean you literally have buns in the oven. It of course means that you are pregnant. So if you have a bun in the oven, you are pregnant. So let's look at how we use it. We're so happy that Lisa has a bun in the oven. No wine for me, thanks. I've a bun in the oven. Okay, I don't want any wine. I've a bun in the oven. Okay, so bun in the oven just means pregnant. Pregnant. Now, a question. Which of these expressions means to have no money? Should be a very easy question. You should all get this straight away. You don't even need to see the answers. Chicken, broke, pregnant, head over heels, easy as pie. And I can see everyone's writing in the correct answer before the answers even came up. So fantastic work. I'm glad Asma is saying my sister has a bun in the oven. Well, Asma, make sure to tell your sister congratulations from myself and all of your English course, okay? So, to have no money is of course to be broke. So well done to everyone. Well done. So guys, what have we learned today? You mastered the use of English for travel. You learned specific phrases from around the world. Ireland, the UK, USA and Australia. But make sure to remember the Irish ones, because they're the best ones, of course. You explored spoken English and we looked at the use of idioms, guys. The use of idioms. So now you all know what idioms are. And I would love to hear about some idioms that you use in your own language. So make sure if you've got any good ones to send them over on the Facebook page, because I'd love to see some idioms that you use in your own language. So guys, have an absolutely brilliant weekend, and I will see you all next week for our second last lesson. We'll save the tears for then. For now, we'll just be happy we've had a good lesson and we'll have a good weekend. Okay guys, it's been brilliant.